Welcome to a new Voltlog. Today we're talking about RGB LEDs. Everyone knows and probably uses digital RGB LEDs these days because they are convenient. You only need a single data line to control them. They can be changed one after the other, thus creating long addressable RGB strings. And you don't have to worry about driving them with constant current. In fact, they even have a digitally controlled brightness setting, so overall pretty convenient. Since these are digital, they have a built-in controller chip, and if we take a closer look at one of these LEDs, which comes in a 50/50 package, we can see the driver chip and the three LED dies for red, green and blue with their corresponding bonding wires. There is also a variant that contains a fourth die for a white diode, but we're not going to talk about those in this video. There are two popular driver chips, the WS2812 and the SK60a12, and each of these drivers might have different revisions as well. The WS2812 was the original one on the market, and the SK60a12 appeared afterwards and is considered a clone of the WS2812 but brings some improvements. The SK60a12 has doubled the PWM frequency at which it drives the LEDs inside, and that is always desired because it helps with reducing flicker, and also the timing requirements are a bit tighter on the SK60a12, but existing WS2812 libraries should work fine with SK60a12 LEDs. But there are a couple of issues with these 50/50 RGB LEDs, and I've had to deal with these in a recent design. First issue is the size. If your design is compact and uses very small SMD parts like 0402 passives, the 50/50 LED package will seem huge when compared to those and will occupy quite a bit of board real estate. As you can see in this image, I have the LED next to some 0402 passives, and it would really help if the LED was, let's say, half its size. The second issue is the voltage. According to its datasheet, a WS2812 or SK60a12 driver chip is only rated to work with 5 volts with some tolerance, but nothing mentioned about 3.3 volts. Now, I did what everyone would think to do in this situation and tried these LEDs on 3.3 volts, and yes, they do work, but it's a bad idea to run things outside their specified ratings. If you plan to build more than a few prototypes and maybe sell them in volume, problems might appear if you try to do that. So it's not really a good option running these on 3.3 volts unless you get confirmation from the manufacturer, but more on this subject towards the end of the video, as I will show you the circuit I used in my project. I did eventually find the solution. There is another version available for the SK60a12 in 3535 package, and for a while I thought that's the best I can get regarding the size of the LED. But I did a bit more searching, and there is an even smaller version in 2020 package for both the WS2812 and the SK60a12. Here is a picture showing the three size variants, so you can get a feel of how much space you would save by going with the 2020 package, which, as far as I know, so far is the smallest package you can get for these digital RGB LEDs. If there is anything smaller than this, please let me know in the comments of the video. I would really like to know about those. I ordered some of these 2020 package LEDs with both SK60a12 and WS2812 driver chips, and I've also designed some small PCBs so I can assemble the LEDs for further testing. JLC PCB is the sponsor of this video. They have supplied these PCBs for free, and this time I opted for their panelization service and the newly added matte black option for solder mask. I figured each individual PCB is so small that it would be more economical to have them panelized. I would be getting a lot more boards per order in the end for the same price. And I must say the matte black solder mask really looks gorgeous. This gold finish works really well with the matte black solder mask, and this is probably the sexiest combination you can have on a PCB. They just look gorgeous. Now just give me 1 second to assemble a couple of these. And through the magic of editing, I have a couple of these assembled with the WS2812 and another one with the SK60a12 variant. Those who are paying attention have probably noticed the small bodge I have on this board. Yes, I've managed to screw up this very simple 5 LED board because I just did not click the DRC button before sending these files to the manufacturer. I also have a small Arduino board running a standard Adafruit NeoPixel library, so let's see if it can drive these LEDs. And sure enough, the NeoPixel library is driving these LEDs without any issues. There are also other libraries out there that can drive these LEDs. Some are more optimized than others, so pick your favorite one. I usually use these LEDs as status indicators, so I don't need anything specific in terms of performance, but I'm pretty sure there are some high-speed libraries out there that can outperform the classical Adafruit NeoPixel library. But there is one problem these LEDs are not solving, which is the issue of driving them at 3.3 volts. The datasheet still specifies these to work only down to 3.7 volts, so unfortunately, if you want to follow the datasheet and the rules, you will need additional circuitry. In the case of the project I was working on, I had an ESP8266 which was running at 3.3 volts, but I am running the LEDs at 5 volts, and according to the datasheet, for a logic high to be registered, the voltage needs to be 0.7 times 5 volts, which is 3.5 volts. By using a MOSFET, you can drive the data line with a 5 volt signal, and thus you solve the problem. There is also another trick you can do to solve this problem. If you don't want to change the control signal level, you can change the reference voltage. You can power the LED through a diode, and so the LED will be powered at 5 volts minus the voltage drop on the diode. Let's take 0.7 volts as an example. Now, since the LED is powered at 4.3 volts, the logic high signal needs to be 4.3 times 0.7, which is 3.01 volts. Problem solved. The 3.3 volt logic signal coming from our controller will be read just fine by the LED. And you only have to do this for the first LED in a string of LEDs, because the first LED will condition the signal internally and it will output it on its data out pin to be compatible with the next LEDs in the series. In the end, I would like to add that there are also other driver chip variants out there, but I decided not to cover those since they are not as popular as the WS2812 or SK60a12, and some of them are likely compatible with these. There are even different variants for the same chip regarding the LED drive current. For example, on this board I have the SK60a12, but this type of LED also comes with a part number of SK6805 for 5 mA and SK6808 for 8 mA, and there is the SK6812 which is rated for 12 mA LED drive current. And you can find all of these available on AliExpress and eBay, but as always, a reliable datasheet correlated with the product you get is not a certain thing. I hope you learned something interesting from this video. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, maybe hit the like button, and I will see you next week with a new video.